recording. Origin Site Index Room. We got back about 20 minutes ago. The objective is to cross-reference the 23 names on the card list against the full investigator record shelf and identify which names the system has records for, which ones it doesn't, and what the records say when they exist. I have the card on the reading table in the center of the room. Hannah is at the shelf on the far wall, working left to right through the brass slots. I'm recording at the table because I want to document the process as we go, rather than summarize afterward. Too much has happened in the last few days where I summarized and lost the texture of what we found. The shelf runs the full length of the far wall. Wooden rack holders, face-out cards, organized by network proximity. Investigators who worked in the same region shelved adjacently. We confirmed that logic in Season 2. The shelf organization and the name list organization use the same principle. Either that's a coincidence, or the list and the shelf were built by the same system. I think it means the second thing. Hannah is working left to right, starting with the oldest section of the shelf, the 1780s cluster, the earliest confirmed catalog entries in the network. She moves carefully. The brass slots have a particular resistance. Decades of humidity and salt air have stiffened them, and pulling a card requires a deliberate sideways pressure before it releases. I can hear it from across the room. A dry sliding friction, then the card coming free. She reads the subject field, holds it for a moment, replaces it. The sound of it going back, a soft knock as the card seats against the back wall of the slot. Pull, read, replace. Pull, read, replace. I'm watching the list, the archaic script entries at the top, the ones I recorded phonetically from the headland. My approximations are rough, I know that. Some of these names may be so different in actual spelling that Hannah could read the correct card, and I wouldn't recognize it from my transcription. She pulled one, held it longer than the others. Said, "This could be your third entry. The spelling is close, 2 letters transposed. Could be a regional variant, or could be a different person entirely." I looked at my phonetic transcription. She read the subject field aloud. Close enough to be the same name. Not close enough to be certain. She set it aside on the small ledge at the base of the shelf. Potential match. Then kept working. 3 more cards pulled and rejected before she found the second potential match. A name in the 1790s cluster, again a near approximation of one of the archaic script entries. She set that one beside the first. 2 candidates from the oldest section of the shelf, both uncertain, both placed aside for secondary examination. She worked through the mid-shelf section faster. The handwriting on the list entries here is more legible and my transcriptions are more reliable. She's pulling cards, checking, replacing with a rhythm now. The brass slots releasing and catching. I'm tracking against the list. Rejected. Rejected. Pause. She said Carter. L. Carter. I went to the shelf to look. Status, closed. Active 1972-1974. The card I've seen before, the same one from the unprocessed 1994 box, the same one with Carter's initials scratched above the Observer 2 bracket on Morwenna. The card hasn't changed. No new information on it. Hannah replaced it and kept moving. 2 slots further, O'Connor. Martin O'Connor. Status, closed. Active 1919-1931. I've seen this record before as well. The card documents his investigation at 47 Marginal Road and ends where his journals end, the same year, the same absence of resolution. The record doesn't explain 1931. It just stops. I held the card for a moment longer than necessary. The handwriting on the card is the system's annotation style, not O'Connor's own hand. But it documents his investigation. He was registered. He was tracked. Whatever happened to him in 1931, the system recorded it as an end date and left the rest blank. I replaced it. Hannah said from further along the shelf, Keller. Keller's card. Status closed. Active 1987. I know that record too. From the 1994 box from Season 2. Nothing new. Then she paused, longer than the other pauses. I heard the card come free, heard her go quiet. She said, I went to the shelf. Hannah was holding the card with both hands, reading it carefully. She turned it so I could see. See Ashworth, subject field. Dates, 1941 to 1943. Node, this network. The status field, not closed, not active, not pending, withdrawn. I have never seen that status value before. In 2 full seasons of investigation, I cataloged every status designation I encountered. Active for ongoing investigations, closed for failed or completed records, pending for nodes between stages. 3 values. The infrastructure for a 4th has never appeared, and yet here it is, produced by the same card mechanism, the same field format, the same system that generated every other card in this room. Withdrawn is not a misprint. It is a designation the system knows how to produce. I checked the adjacent cards on either side of Ashworth's slot, 3 in each direction. All of them read either closed or active, none read withdrawn. I went further along the shelf, pulling cards at random, checking status fields, closed, active, closed, pending, 1 pending, a node record rather than an investigator record. No other withdrawn. Ashworth's card is the only one. I turned it over. The reverse has a notation in the system's own annotation style, the same small, consistent handwriting used for investigator notes throughout the index. Single line centered on the card, listener confirmed, withdrew from active investigation by choice. I read it twice. Then I read it aloud so the recorder would capture it exactly. Then I stood there for a moment with the card in my hand. Listener confirmed. That phrase. I've seen fragments of it before. Partial references in documents that never completed the thought, terminology that appeared and disappeared without being defined. A catalog card in the 1994 box with a field notation I couldn't decode. A line in one of the underground journals from the train station that revised itself between readings and lost the word on the second pass. The phrase was in the network before I understood what it meant. Here it is applied directly to an investigator. C. Ashworth. Confirmed as something the system calls a listener. And after that confirmation, Ashworth chose to stop. Not failed, not was closed, withdrew. The system recorded the departure, preserved the record, did not remove Ashworth from the index, did not erase the name, did not treat the exit as a failure. It created a status value specifically for this kind of departure. A 4th category for investigators who leave the network voluntarily after the system has confirmed something about them. The system has a word for what Ashworth became, and a word for what Ashworth then chose to do about it. I said to Hannah, the system has a category for investigators who leave by choice. She said, and it keeps their record intact when they do. I said, which means it considers them still part of the network. She looked at the card for a moment, then, or it considers them still relevant to whatever it's tracking. She took the card from me and looked at the annotation again. She said quietly, listener confirmed. That's not a conclusion, that's a registration. I asked her what she meant. She said, closed means the investigation ended. Withdrawn means the investigator left. But listener confirmed, that's the system recording a fact about the person, a classification. Ashworth didn't just leave. The system filed what Ashworth was before Ashworth walked out. I didn't answer that. I'm still sitting with it. We kept working. I want to document the full cross-reference results before spending more time on Ashworth, because the cross-reference is the evidence base and I need the shape of it on record. Final count. 17 of the 23 names on the list have investigator records in the origin index. 14 of those are status closed. 2 are status active, Hannah and myself. 1 is status withdrawn, Ashworth. 4 names on the list have no corresponding record in the index. Not the same 4 that were obscured. The obscured names are in the contemporary bottom section, and 3 of those do have records, all closed. The 4 with no records are distributed across the middle and upper sections of the list. Either those investigators were never formally registered, their records exist somewhere else in the network, or the records have been removed. The system removes names from failed records. The erased 1959 investigator. Name gone from the 47 Marginal Road shelf, infrastructure remaining. The same thing could account for 4 missing records here. I noted this and moved on. The entry directly above mine on the list. The handwriting I recognized on the headland, the thinning ink at stroke endings, the leftward pull on descenders, but couldn't place. The device responded to it at 1.5 seconds, same as the card itself. I needed to find the corresponding slot in the index. The proximity logic. My name is in the contemporary bottom section of the list, clustered with the obscured names and with the entry above mine. On the shelf, my record and Hannah's are in the same section, the contemporary cluster tied to this coastline, to the 47 Marginal Road node group. The slot I was looking for should be in that same section, near ours. I used Carter and O'Connor as anchors, both confirmed on the list, both with known shelf positions. Working outward from O'Connor's slot toward the contemporary section, counting positions, using the list order as a rough guide to shelf position. I found the section. 7 slots from Hannah's record, 4 slots from mine. The brass label is engraved with a name. I'm not going to record the name on tape yet. I want to find the record first, examine it, understand what I'm dealing with before I say the name aloud. The label is present. The engraving is clear. The name exists in this system's official registry. The slot is empty. I checked both adjacent slots first. Populated, cards present, nothing displaced. I ran my fingers along the back of the shelf behind the empty slot to check if the card had slipped behind the row. Wood panel, smooth, nothing there. I crouched and checked the floor beneath the shelf unit. Dust, a few small debris fragments from the wooden frame. No card. I checked whether the slot above and below might have captured it somehow. Nothing. The card was not misplaced. It was removed, and the slot shows no damage. No scratching on the brass edges, no splintering on the wooden frame. Removed cleanly, deliberately by someone who knew how to do it without leaving marks. The same way a card is removed when someone reaches in carefully and takes it, or the way a card disappears when the system decides it should. I stood at the empty slot for a long moment. The index room was quiet. The morning light through the narrow windows had shifted. We've been in here longer than I realized. Then I put 2 fingers inside the slot and felt along the back wall. Not empty. The back wall of the slot has a texture, smooth wood, the grain of it under my fingertips, and pressed against it, flat against the back panel, something else. Not wood, a different surface, slightly cooler, a straight edge where the wood has a natural grain variation. Paper. I worked it forward carefully, pinching it between 2 fingers, pulling slowly to avoid tearing. It came forward in increments. It had been pressed firmly against the back wall, held there by the slight compression of the surrounding shelf materials. The fold at the top emerged first, then the body of it, then it came free. A folded piece of paper. Cream-colored, heavier stock than standard document paper, the fold sharp and deliberate, not a casual fold, a precise one, pressed flat. Someone placed this here intentionally. Not dropped, not lost. Placed, and either the card was removed to make room for it, or it was slipped in after the card was already gone. I brought it to the table. Hannah had come across the room and was standing beside me. I unfolded it. Hannah read the first line. Her expression changed before she finished it. She looked up at me, then back at the paper. She didn't speak for a long moment, then quietly, "I know whose slot this is."